Hey,
Hello.
what's up? That's alright. Doing it live. Doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Just okay. So, who I was gonna say that
Yeah,
2 of the 4 derailed people have sinus
good
issues.
section. Yeah, all I got is I'm elbow deep in urine. Oh my gosh,
Please, we
Declan.
need context for that
Yeah,
statement.
Declan's been having a hard time with making it to the toilet when he needs to, and so he's been peeing in random areas, and it requires us to clean it a lot, and so we're doing a lot of cleaning. I so he peed in a toy box. He peed in a toy box, and so I dumped all the stuff out into the tub, made it all the way hot, put some cleaner in there, and we were cleaning it all out. Y There was a singular Dragon Ball, and I'm draining the water, and I'm literally watching this Dragon Ball slowly go towards the drain, and I'm going and it's got a metal grate, so it can't go all the way into the drain, but I'm like, "I probably should stop that because that might looks like it could be, like, the perfect size." And I reach down there to drop it, right, 'cause it's, like, spinning, and right when I go down, it goes shunk right into the drain, and it's just like and it's, like, the perfect height. The only reason it doesn't go into the drain is because it has that metal grate that's blocking it, but when you go s and it's perfect. Literally stops all water getting past. It just perfect seal. And I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to reach my fingers in there, and it's just like, here's the top of it, and here's the ball. It's just, like, that much of it sticking out, and I can't get a grip on it because it's slick, and it's wet now because all the water's in there, and I can't get a grip. It just keeps spinning. I'm like, "Fuck." Luckily, I have a water vac because of Declan's accidents and him liking to play with water and on our carpet, so I used the water vac. So I had a water vac. I had to drain the whole tub with the water vac, which caused me to, like,
Ooh,
dump the water thing out, like, probably, like, 16, 17 times, just dumping it all out.
Jesus.
And then I finally got to where it was, like, just a little bit of water, and I dried it all up with a towel and got it soaked it all up, and then I was able to get enough of a grip on my fingers around so I could pop it out. But I had duct tape, I had everything. I had all the stuff ready to, like, see if I can get it out. I tried a knife initially, like a knife, like a I actually used, like, a really nice, like a steak knife, not a really nice knife, but like a steak knife because it's, like, a little bit more flat. Tried to get it in there, and it just broke the tip off the knife, so, yeah. So I lost the knife in the process. No. Garbage knives.
I'm doing pretty good. Um, no weird sinus issues or pee issues over here.
That's good.
Um, just yep, yep. I fixed those problems years ago. I don't think she has problems, not that I'm aware of.
That you're aware of.
Um, no, just trying to keep warm, you know.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
finally cooled off, which I'm
Yes, it
happy
has.
about. You know, keep warm, but not have the fire/heaters on all the time.
Mhm.
We have a gas fireplace.
Nice.
Ga
Fancies.
gas fireplace, gas washer, dryer, electric stove. I
We
want
only have
I I want a gas stove. I mean, I do and I don't. It's apartment. You used to sell appliances. All those rental people coming in buying the cheapest stuff possible.
mm. Yeah, we have only the electric heaters, and, like, with same thing with, like, Aaron was talking the other week, the heat just leaves so quickly, I have to keep them running, like, all the time, and this year, what's that? They're like the square cutout. We have the baseboard ones in the in the bedrooms, but on the wall we don't. They're in the main family area. They have just like the little square cutout electric heaters, and it's just too expensive to keep them running.
Oh yeah.
Already, so I'm like, everyone get used to being in sweaters. That's why I'm living in the tuxie.
Um, I I don't know how well you'd be able to do this, but do you have like towels around all your windows and door frames?
Yeah, yeah. I got like big all blackout curtains for my my windows and everything like that, so I can like try to keep the heat in. But it's just this. I think that these apartments were made in like the 1970s or something like that. It's pretty old apartments. They've done a lot of renovating, but like there's certain things you can't fix. Like I find things every once. I do have a fireplace. I do actually have a fireplace, but a wood fireplace. Yeah, it's a wood fireplace. It's I think it's heating because I have a
Baba
chimney,
Booey.
and we do have a guy that's supposed to come and clean the chimney. But what up, Jazzer? Baba Booey. Baba Booey. It comes through OBS, I think. Yeah, yeah. Um, welcome, Jazzer. Uh, to be honest, to be honest, mine probably would be the same way. I don't know. I've seen people use them in our apartment complex, but the problem I have is when we first moved in, it's got like all these little vents all over it. And when we first moved in, Declan shoved so much shit in those vents that if I start a fire, I just know those vents are going to like start spilling smoke. There's stuff's going to be melting in there. So it's like, and not only that, it doesn't even have like, it just has the wire mesh around it. It doesn't have like any type of like other protection, just a wire mesh. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, last thing I need is Declan running around and touching that bad boy and having open fire right there.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've just never done it.
That's good. Well, people can hear me now. I had my mic. My mic wasn't on. So
Oh, I didn't. Yeah,
could hear you though, and
Oh,
luckily
nice.
you were doing most of the talking. So thank you for that.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah, I was very shocked to learn that my fireplace was not functional. Really, like it's really just meant to look pretty.
I've never heard of a wood burning fireplace that's decorative only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me neither.
weird. That's
Yeah.
really weird.
Very.
I mean,
I was like, I've never heard of such a thing, and he's like, well,
I
I'm
guess
the
it's
fireplace guy, so.
good to know.
He like Herschel Walker. He pulled out his fake badge and was like, "Listen to me." Did you hear about that, Nubs?
No.
Oh,
So Herschel Walker, the guy who's running in Georgia, that went to a runoff, he's a psychopath. He literally held a knife up to his wife's throat and threatened to kill her. He's threatened to kill multiple people and admitted it on the campaign trail. Basically said, "Hey, I've wanted to kill people before, but God told me not to. So vote for me." Like very, I'm serious. And so he was debating, and they were like calling him out, like, dude, you pretend to be a police officer all the time. And he's like, I don't pretend, I am a police officer. And he holds out this like Toys R Us badge, like this literal fake, they give it to volunteers.
Honorary deputy badge.
Honorary.
So
Yeah.
he's like a Dwight.
He's very much a Dwight, except for also mixed with the Scranton Strangler.
Yeah,
And with just a healthy sprinkling of concussion damage.
Yeah, a little bit of CET from football. He's a football player.
Dude, people that pretend that he's a football player, right? People that pretend that there's a big like gross population out there. Not big, but like people that like to pretend they're like they're police officers and pull people over, and it's they don't even give tickets. They just feel like they're doing their civic duty. It's really weird. Really weird.
Citizens arrest.
Yeah,
It's really weird.
it is weird.
It's a power trip.
So midterm brief midterm catch up. Georgia went into a runoff election. Interesting. Do you guys know what that means?
I don't. I was just about to ask. I'm like, what does it mean
If I
that it's a runoff?
understand a runoff, because neither person got at least 50% of the vote, it has to go into this runoff just between them, so there will be a definitive winner. But is it because Georgia is actually a ranked choice state, or is it just a weird Georgian law?
There is one other state that does the runoff election, and it's Louisiana. And there's a reason that both of these states do runoff elections, and there's a reason that they are both in the South. I think you can know where I'm going with this. So the history of the runoff election actually it's the successor of these county, what is it called? A county election, basically, which essentially after the Emancipation Proclamation and slaves were freed, the powerful white men were very afraid that these black men voters would vote them out of office. And to avoid this in the South, they created this thing where they separated voter districts into urban, which is like in the city, and out like suburban, like slightly out of the city, and then county districts. And it just so happens that most of the freed slave community lived far outside the city in these rural places that they were able to live in. And what they did is they said, well, if you're in an urban area, your vote counts for like 2,000 votes, right? So where there are about 7,000 people living at the time, your vote counts for like 10,000 votes or something. And if you were to live in the rural area where these the black communities lived, where there was 550,000 votes, if they were counted individually, your votes only count for 7,000. So there was literally no way for the black voters to vote them out because they didn't live in the city and their votes were not counted 1-to-1. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
that's still in effect.
No. So in 1970, they realized that this is horribly racist and you shouldn't do this anymore. And so instead of giving a 1-to-1 vote, they decided to take all the people that were pro county voting, white supremacists, people that were very much anti-black. They created the runoff election, basically, as another way to stop suppress black voters, so that you would require, essentially it's basically so that you would require more than 50% of the votes so that you could give the other guy a fair shot. No other states do this besides Louisiana. It's still rooted in Jim Crow laws from back in the day. It's crazy racist. And the fucking crazy thing is that 2 black guys are running. and like they're running in a state with this horribly rooted in racism thing. So yeah, thought that was crazy. Wanted to share that because I didn't know what a runoff election was either.
I wish we would go to a ranked choice voting system.
Yeah.
You know what that one is, Nubs?
No, what's that?
All right, so ranked choice goes like this. Let's say you, me, James, and Aaron are all running for something.
Mhm.
And everyone votes, if it's broken up like 30%, 30%, 25, 25, the two who got the 30% then go to a second election. But if any one person that first election gets 50% or more of the vote, they just win.
Oh, okay.
A lot of a lot of European countries do it. I think Maine does it for their local stuff too,
Yeah,
or their
you're right.
state level stuff. But the reason you go with ranked choice is your ad, like they've done studies on this, and I think Maine and overseas. I've seen some stuff, but if you do ranked choice, your political ads become more of what you're going to do. They don't become attack ads anymore because you don't need to win the first one. You just need to not have the lowest.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I like the idea. I also like the idea of blind of like blind voting in a sense that you don't get to see who the person is and they don't get to campaign. It's just a list of like what they want to do compared to this list you want to do, and you get to look at the two lists and go, I like
Yeah.
this guy better.
Uh, uh, I see where you're coming from. I like the ability to look up all I want about anyone though.
Well, you would
And
That
still
makes
have that
sense.
option. They just
oh,
don't
you're
get to
saying
talk. They don't get to influence you,
no
right?
campaigning, no
Yeah. So
debates,
I actually
no.
am 100% on
Okay,
board with Nubs'
sorry,
idea,
I misunderstood. Then yes, that is
eliminating
good.
the campaign running altogether. Tell me what your policies are. Shut the fuck up, and I'll vote for who I think is right.
Yeah, let's list all. And I think the reason why they probably don't do that is because it's going to force people to actually have to look into what they're voting for. And I wonder if it's just a fear that like people are not going to want to do the work. They're just
Yeah.
No, there.
I've. Okay.
I was gonna say there work for unfortunately a good too many people. Their work for that is watching CNN or Fox.
Mhm.
That's like their beyond, or they're just family ties so staunch. My family has always voted one side. I don't care who you are. I'm still gonna vote that side.
yeah.
Mhm.
And and I see what you mean by if it was completely blind, like I didn't even know who the person I was voting for. I could see where that could be an issue too, because you wouldn't want.
Yeah, no ad. But
What
I'm
if
with you.
they were
No
blind?
ads.
I'm just
But you
kidding.
don't want someone being like, as long as I craft this document of what I'm gonna vote for, I can get into power. You don't
Correct.
want that. You don't want that. You still want to be able to realize who you're voting for. So that makes a
Yeah.
lot actually makes a lot of sense. I
And
think that would save a little bit of
I and I think maybe still keep debates because at some point you do need to see how this person can talk and how they can handle stressful situations.
I agree. I
Like if
think debates are fine. It's just the campaigning.
yeah,
yeah.
I don't need of 2 months of ads and commercials and texts of again, like I said, it's never what I'm going to do. It's why my opponent is the worst.
Yeah, that's what happens all the time. That's why Dr. Oz is able to run because he's just a billionaire who has the money to run and he can. All you need is money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but money doesn't win because he didn't.
He did not. So that's our
Did
next
not.
coverage.
Yeah.
So that was a huge pickup for Democrats in Pennsylvania. We don't now own it, but we have John Fetterman got the senator spot.
Hmm.
By a decent margin too.
Pretty good margin. The
About
other,
4%.
yeah, debates are good to have. Smear campaigns are yeah, exactly. I agree, Starry. The other things to look for are Arizona and Nevada. Those are still being counted. And they're actually super important because right now, either we're fighting for the House. I believe right now it's 48-49, with Republicans having one more seat, but we picked up a seat and they lost a seat in Pennsylvania. So that's super, super
Yeah.
huge.
Senate, not House.
Did I say House? Yeah, Senate.
Yeah.
Google still has
Out
it 46-48. So
yeah, Google's taking forever to update on that, but
yeah.
they're waiting for the official numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The House is interesting, because like unfortunately this was kind of known that and this is where the whole red tsunami was going to come in is that they were just going to take a bunch of House seats and dominate the House. They didn't. They still took some seats, but Democrats took a lot of seats too. So Republicans are still ahead, but they're not as ahead in the House by as much as I thought they were going to be. So the big prediction by some political pundits right now is that it'll force the Republicans to be more moderate about their choices. Like in the past, during the pandemic, everyone was giving the Republican House crap for not lowering prices of gas when it got to $5, not voting not to lower the or with the baby formula shortage, voting not to
Mm.
get us more of that. Like everything that we needed and they didn't vote for, they're gonna have to pick and choose which one. They're gonna have to say yes on some of that now
Are
because they won't have it by as much.
Do you think some of these party lines, do you think sometimes they're in active disagreement with each other just for the stake of being different party lines? Like, do you think there are some Democrats or even some Republicans that look at each other's ideas and go, "That's actually a pretty good idea," but don't vote for it because they're like, "If I do, then it's like
Yes.
makes
Yeah,
me look bad."
100%.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Especially in the past, honestly, past like 16 years
Mhm.
or at least 8, if not 16 years, because like nothing got done in Obama's time. Not a lot got done when Trump was in power. Not a lot, or Biden's actually getting stuff done, but that's when they had 50-50 in the Senate.
Mhm.
So that's why this is important to see how the last two
Yeah,
seats
it looks
pan
like
out.
Nevada's going to go Republican, Arizona's going to go Democrat, at least now. And then basically it comes down to the runoff in Georgia.
So in the House, what's interesting is I didn't actually know this. New Mexico is like completely blue.
Yeah.
Which that surprised me. I don't know why I didn't think that was
I
gonna
mean,
be a
New Mexico
thing.
likes everything blue. They like turquoise. They like their meth blue.
Wow.
But I
That
just
was
thought it was
really
like, so
good.
if you look at like Washington and Oregon, you have like, of course, and even California, of course, you have the bigger cities that are all blue and all the rural
So
areas are red. But
I
like New Mexico is completely blue, which I thought, and even Nevada and Arizona are
so
like that.
I absolutely hate when they use those maps because a lot of really staunch hyper Republicans will use that map as like, oh, look how much percent of the country of America is red.
They're but they're
They're not
rural.
looking at population density
Exactly. I'm like, if you look at all the population of the dense populated areas, they're all blue. Um,
for the most part.
it,
I mean, again,
uh,
there's still some heavily populated areas that are still going to go red. I'm not saying that's everywhere. It's just
except like Texas. Texas is always going to be
even
like
except look at
red.
Austin. Austin's
Oh
Right.
blue.
yeah, I know that flipped. That was fairly recent, didn't it? Didn't that
They've
was fairly
actually
recent that I
always
kind of flipped
been
like
they've
that.
been fairly progressive for a while in Austin.
Yeah. Um, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is um so that's the Senate thing, pretty close, but I really think that Republicans can, or that Democrats can pull it out if Herschel Walker doesn't win Georgia. The other thing is the House, and a lot of people, it's basically been speculated even before the elections that Republicans were going to win the House pretty handedly. And looking at it now, you can see even Democratic states are losing House seats. We lost 8 House seats. Republicans have gained 6. And I was reading
According to
about
Google.
that. Say again?
According to Google.
It's the Associated Press.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can find it on Google, but it's from the Associated Press, and that's like the number one source.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Dude, we got ads going. Yeah, I'm just gonna pause talking for a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's fine.
God, I hate this shit. I don't know why these desert states have such a hard time counting. It's always Nevada and Arizona.
It's because they're battleground states.
So is Pennsylvania.
Well, true. Well, this year especially because Arizona had all the issues in Maricopa County with the whole fraud claims
Yeah.
in the biggest quotes I can do.
I can't believe Joe Lombardo is going to win the governor of Nevada.
I have to ask, is that bad?
He's Republican. He's
It's pretty
ex
close. Well,
police
no,
chief.
it's not very close.
He's like the
Nope.
big. He's like the big police chief.
I'm really happy there's one governor race, the one in Arizona. I'm so glad the Democrat won because the Republican was Carrie Lake.
They haven't won yet. They're still
What?
counting.
For governor?
Yeah. It's
That's pretty.
75%
30,000.
reporting.
That's pretty close still. 49.3% to 50 point. 50.
It's 49.3 to 50.7. Yeah.
Who's Carrie Lake? Should I know who Carrie Lake is?
I've
Not
only
really.
it's a governor. It's just I've watched some like last week tonight did some pieces on some of the more crazy Republicans and I guess MAGA Republicans. Because again, I'm not going to be the person who says all Republicans are bad because I can't say that.
Yeah.
But there's a group that are. There's the MAGA ones. I'm sorry, all of them are fucked up.
Yeah. Okay, so what I was gonna say.
Okay.
We're losing seats in the House, and the reason for that is another thing that I didn't know about. Called gerrymandering. Do you guys know what gerrymandering is?
No. What is
I know what
gerrymandering?
gerrymandering is.
What is
I have no idea.
gerrymandering?
So gerrymandering is every couple
10
years,
years.
each state gets to. Is it 10 years?
Mhm.
So it's census. After they get census data, whichever party is winning their state is in charge of their state gets to draw the voting districts. And you're supposed to think of it, draw it kind of fair. Like King County, Seattle area, that's one voting district. Like I'm in the Auburn, I don't know what district I'm in, but on your ballots or in your voter pamphlet, you'll see voting for district whatever.
District 9, District
District 9,
46,
yeah.
school district, right? So like their district lines are redrawn every census every 10 years.
Yep. And then you put and when you draw the lines, if you do it fair, it's a good mix of population, a good mix of types of people who live in that area. So you could. It's also to give you like what your area needs and who you can elect in there. What happens? And both Republicans and Democrats did it fucked up. Republicans just do it fucked up more. Is they will draw these insane districts that make absolutely no sense to break up like minorities. Like in Texas, for example, I think it's Harris County. They've tried to like corral all of Harris County as one district, just one, because that's the, I believe, largest black population in the state of Texas is just in that one county. Or in Georgia, I think like Atlanta is one voting district, and Atlanta is the heavy black population. I'll see if I can find some of the insane maps I've seen.
Well, do you mind if I dig a little deeper?
Yes.
So it goes back to this guy named like Reginald Jerry or something. His last name was Jerry. And basically he used this to manipulate himself into office over and over and over and over and over again, to a point to now we have a term called gerrymandering, because he would purposely draw these lines. And the way that it works is it works in two ways, either cracking or packing. So let's say that in our cul-de-sac, there's three Republicans and 2 Democrats, right? So that's one district. So if we vote, it's going to vote Republican because it's 3 versus 2, right? So that our district is going to be a Republican district. So now I'm drawing the lines. I draw a line so that now it's 2 Republicans and then 1 Republican and 2 Democrats. So now that district is split in half, and then two more Democrats move in across the street with you, and now it's 2 Democrat districts instead of 1 Republican district. And what happens is Republican districts do this over and over again to separate people who are going to vote similarly, so that there's not a majority Democrat, so now it's a majority Republican. And they do it specifically to pack in minorities. It's just like the runoff election. It is another incredibly racist way of voter suppression. It's absolutely insane. And that is why most people end up feeling like their vote doesn't matter.
Interesting.
Yep.
And is that a lot of that is because like, so why don't we go to just popular vote then? Just straight popular vote?
Because
for
they know
everything?
that they would lose power. Because think about it. The people
But that
making
goes
these
both ways, huh?
What?
Does that go both ways? Is because if that was the case, if it was truly unbalanced, then
Mhm.
you'd have a big push in any government to get rid of it. But then it's kind of one of those things where it's like it works for Democrats too, so Democrats don't want to get rid of it either.
Yeah, 100%. Democrats have done it. It's just heavily skewed towards Republicans of doing it, but both parties have done it. It's a terrible system, but its intent is good. Like it was James Madison's idea, and his idea was that like every 10 years, people are going to move. People are going, you're going to have we want to get an updated snapshot of the community so that community feels represented. It is a totally just thing in concept. It's just unfortunately been manipulated and turned into this thing called gerrymandering now.
In our the Discord derailed stream little chat box, I posted 2 examples. You want to take a look. One of them is the very basic explanation, and one of them is one of the more insane districts you can find.
But they're not. They don't make no sense. They look weird because they're literally trying to crack people up.
Let me rephrase that. In a truly fair and balanced election, it makes no sense.
Yeah, if you're trying to get an accurate snapshot of a community and you're districting, you're districting your state, it is counterintuitive. The crazy thing too is when Jerry was doing it first, they actually hand drew these things based on census data. Now these politicians have thousands of computer generated district lines based on you using TikTok, you using Facebook, you using Twitter, and all of your data going. So the thing is like, yeah, they're listening to me. Oh, Google's listening to me. The number one most important thing they want from your data is your voter profile. All of that data goes to them so that they can redraw the districts, and these computer programs can draw lines and have these politicians go through thousands of options saying which one is going to benefit me the most. And that's what happened. They got these Republicans got to gerrymander, and now we are losing House seats.
That's crazy.
We are not losing as much as they initially predicted, though, before the midterms.
Correct. Because what happens is you have 2 years of Republican Fox News and Alex Jones and Steven Crowder saying elections are rigged, and then when the next election comes around, they don't go and vote, and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah, I just saw a thing that is on Reddit, but they linked an article that Robert Stone, big Republican, I think worked for Trump for a while, said that all the talk about election rigging is getting people not to go vote.
It's getting the right not to go vote.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I said this before the podcast. One big positive of the midterms that is showing us what could potentially be the future trend is a majority of the millennials and Gen Z peoples who can vote, our age people and younger, showed up for Democrats 65 to 35.
Yeah, and I saw another statistic. I want to end on a positive note before we get into God of War.
Well,
what?
I have one more positive too.
Go ahead.
One other positive, and this is just a thing to help save our democratic process, is the 6 Secretary of State seats that were up for grabs. The 6 that had election denying MAGA Republicans, they all lost, and that's very big because Secretary of State is the person in the state who signs off on election results.
Mhm.
And one of these guys in an interview flat out said, "I wouldn't have signed off on Biden."
Mhm.
Hmm.
All 6 of them lost. So we maintain democracy for another couple years.
Yeah, for another
Nice.
couple years. And I think a really big part of that is the uptick in voters in the age group 18 to 29. From last midterms, there was a 28% increase in 18 to 29-year-olds that came to vote.
Ooh.
Normally, those numbers are like down 2%, up 1%, down 2%. Up 28% is unheard of. So Gen
really
Z, the Zoomers, they fucking showed up. The real problem, honestly, still is us, is millennials.
Yeah.
We still fucking suck. I don't know what happened, but we didn't show up. It's like plus 2%.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I really don't. But the Zoomers came, and that's fucking huge. And it's made a difference.
One reason our group didn't show up, and I'm just going to say this as a blanket statement for millennials, all the states that don't have vote by mail. It means you actually have to go to a polling place, stand in line, wait, be around other people, and hopefully you're in a state where you don't have people harassing you and giving you shit for standing in line to vote.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I am so lucky. We are lucky to be able to vote the way we can in Washington. Just simple, easy ballot.
I agree.
Voter pamphlets and ballot just come to my house. I just have to fill it out and walk up to a mailbox or drive to a drop-off box.
Yeah.
That's easy. I don't have to take a day off work or a few hours to go to a school or a church or a university and wait for my turn to vote, and hopefully I'm on that registration because I went to the right one.
It feels good though, man. It feels good to see those numbers and to see the red wave turn into a red ripple, and you know, for how much like we've tried to kind of inject a little bit of politics into this show, to see some, you know, impact from that, like to see the results and being a part of that, it feels awesome. It feels great. And I'm really proud of us.
Devin has, for you guys already didn't kind of know my stance of how I've been for the past couple of years. Devin's followed suit because Devin's never been interested in politics. This is Devin went full force this year. She went full force. She made me sit down. She was all like, "We're figuring this out. We're looking at everything. We're gonna do," and so she was really on board to make sure that we voted this year. So
I think it's fucking awesome.
On a local level, I am disappointed about one thing in Washington or King County that got repealed. Just it doesn't even affect me really, but the basically forcing DoorDash and Uber Eats to offer workman's comp to their drivers.
You
They
don't
did
want
not
that?
maintain that one.
Oh, they didn't maintain it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I voted to maintain that. I'll just
Same.
flat out say I did. But
Yeah, I did too.
apparently that one lost. And then the like fuel tax on airplanes
Mhm.
also didn't pass because it was going to be a minor increase to property tax. Okay, I
just
that's
want RTA to go away. I want the RTA tax to go away.
Me too. Shit's expensive.
Expensive. I just had to renew my car, $450.
Oh,
oof.
I thought mine was bad.
$50.
Oh,
Um, yeah, that's I guess the good reason I drive a 2010 car. Mine's only like $100 a year.
yeah, mine was 180. But fuck.
I know Teslas get fucked by that.
Yeah, well, Teslas fucking suck anyway. So.
If I were to move across the street, no RTA.
Oh, come on,
That's
Teslas
crazy.
are good cars.
No,
Because
they're
the
literally
RTA
not.
is not all King County. It's not all counties. It's like district lines it's like it loops and goes into different directions. So like no joke, I've looked up the lines and the line right across the street's not RTA.
That's fucking insane. Let me tell you this, Wes. Teslas are not good cars. I'll tell you why. They cost more carbon emissions to produce than driving a gas car for 10 years.
So, with that number, is it each one Tesla car?
Correct.
Okay.
They're expensive as shit too.
And they're fucking they're stupid. And Elon Musk is a fucking idiot.
Hey, Elon
Fuck
Musk
Tesla.
had nothing to do with Tesla. He put his money on it, and
He's the fucking face of it. He's the face of it.
Face, but he did.
Fuck him.
I've hated Tesla drivers since the first Tesla model, few Tesla Model S's came
To be fair,
came
I
through.
didn't have to try and sell Teslas to people. You guys did.
Not even that.
Not even that.
When they
yeah.
when they first rolled in through Valet, every Tesla driver that came through thought they were God's gift to their earth, and I'm like, get the fuck away from me! You're so goddamn annoying. And that was back when I can go into it if I'm not going to do it, but they were so
fuck
stupid.
Tesla.
And you know what's funny? When they first started, it was hard. Like the people that would come up to me flexing their Teslas were like fucking hardcore Republicans. I just knew it too because they were like, all American built car right here, baby. All American built, every single piece built right here in America. I'm like, no, it's not. It's assembled in America, yeah, maybe, but it's a Samsung battery. It's a bunch of Mercedes parts that are imported from Germany. You fuck. It's assembled in America, but it's not all American built. You don't know shit. Get the fuck.
You know what's funny is that's the same thing with Whirlpool, with washers and dryers and for refrigerators. They say made in America on them, and they're literally not. They're still like all the parts are made. They just get sent to America and then they get assembled.
Yeah. Same people with Ford. They're like, oh, Ford's American built car. I'm like, no, they're not. They're all built down in Mexico right now. They're all, their main factory's out of Mexico. You know the most American built car right now? Toyota. Oddly enough, Toyota has better factories here in America than anywhere else.
All right, politics are over. Shutting the blinds on that. That was good though. That was a good little 40-minute segment there.
I actually enjoyed that a lot.
Big game came out. Huge game.
Yes.
Huge.
Have both of you guys been playing?
Yes, I have.
I have about 2 hours into it. I did not play any last night because it was D&D night.
Yeah, I played a little before the show, so I think I'm a little ahead of you now. We were at the exact same spot.
Okay, so
what are your thoughts?
So,
God of War Ragnarok. We didn't say God of War Ragnarok.
God of War Ragnarok.
Fucking so good so far.
Spill the beans.
Huh?
Starry said, "Spill the beans."
So Starry.
All right. Presentation, even where I am, 10 out of 10.
I agree.
100% content. I love the little. Did you watch the God of War recap that they put in the game?
Yeah, because I remember I was telling you guys that I was going to watch a recap video because like it's been so long, I kind of forget all the little nuance. And the recap is perfect. It's short.
Yep.
It gets you all the highlights. You're like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. Okay, now I'm perfect.
I would say the only one highlight they didn't show you in that little video, unless I missed it, was meeting Jormungandr.
No, they did not. They didn't show that.
But other than that, you know what? I don't care. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a good recap.
Like I talked to you about it, I love the actually mythological accurate representation of like Thor. Because Thor is not chiseled like a Greek god. He's got a beer gut that he's been drinking meat all day. Which makes sense.
Great.
I want to play more just so I can see more of Odin because Odin is a mafia boss. He's the mob guy.
Yeah, he kind of makes a big entrance, and you know he's got his eye patch, and he's like trying to cut a deal with Kratos, you know, and it's very much like a mafioso, like a mob, like take this deal, or I'm gonna fucking kill you. Okay, just take this fucking.
Listen
deal.
here, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, and that's his voice too.
The Valhalla.
Little like nasally air. Not like not like an Odin. You would think Odin, big, grizzled warrior. No, just a mob boss. Tony Soprano, motherfucker, right there.
And I believe you saw this in the trailers too, but you fight Thor, which is cool. Really, really cool.
If you played the first one, it's very reminiscent of the Boulder fight. The first Boulder fight.
Yeah.
When he's a stranger.
Yeah. And
I love Baldur. I love Norse mythology, and I love Baldur's actual Norse like
bro,
mythos around it. I think it's so cool.
you gotta play this game. You gotta play the first one. You would eat it up.
I gotta play it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Turn
Actually,
on-
kind of. Sorry, go on.
I said, turn on your PS5.
I know.
If your PlayStation Plus is is still up, it's free for you to download.
I
Oh
know.
shit! I think it is.
It's free. There's no excuse.
I think I already have it downloaded. To be honest.
And you could pound through it in like, how long is that game? 10, 12 hours maybe?
Depending on how much side stuff you do, I think you can get through the main story and a couple of side things in about 10 hours.
Okay.
It's if you want to get all the collectibles and beat all the Valkyries, it's going to take you longer. And
Yeah,
do
it'll take
all
you
of
longer. But you can get through the story in 10, 12. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you would love it. I know how much you like Norse mythology, and they handle it so well.
You know what kind of breaks my heart? I actually watched this whole thing about like guy breaking down like Norse history, and it kind of broke my heart. Like it kind of shattered like the he was all like, yeah, everyone always has these Vikings and with horns on their helms, and they wear these big old like fur cloaks and everything. He's like, they didn't. They didn't actually have any of those stuff. They look, and then he showed like a picture of like this is closest to probably what Vikings look like. I'm like, that looks lame as shit.
It's pretty close to the Northmen, the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
They got it like right, and that's what's cool about Robert Eggers is he does so much research.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. Hey, let's go on. What were you gonna say, Beth?
As a joke, and I talked to Aaron about this. Donnie said the game is a 0 out of 10 with some of the stuff that happens at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a little emotionally manipulative, in my opinion. Not a fan.
See, this is where me knowing Norse mythology, like, it's fine. Well, at least one of those is fine. I'm not
Did
sure
Loki
about
play a trick on you guys?
Huh?
No,
Did Loki play a trick on you guys?
Well,
no.
You gotta play the first one. Wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge. Nub, nubs.
Nub, nub.
But the combat is still fun. Like, and it gets you right back into it in the perfect way. Throwing the axe is still great.
But that's all true of the first one but like with this one on PS5 the haptic feedback I think is really good on the DualSense. I think they did a really good job.
Love the haptic feedback. I also
with the trigger pulls and stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple sections where you have to like break some ice and like you get some of that like tough feedback on the triggers and that like adds to it. Really good immersion.
I'm already liking even just all I've really fought are the weird raider things. There's already more enemy diversity than the first game.
True. Yeah. I've made it this far to the second the area that you go to, and it's so wonderful. It's such a nice change of pace visually, and you get new enemies and new types of puzzles, and it is so good. It honestly, I was a little like, I'm excited for this game during like the prologue, like the first chapter, I would say, the intro. But when I got to the second area is when I was like, this all feels new and good and and that's when I got that like feeling where I was like, I'm actually really, really excited to pick this up and play it.
The voice actors for both Kratos and Boy.
Atreus? Why don't you call him Atreus?
Because his name is Boy.
Boy.
Mimir is still awesome.
Mimir is awesome.
Sindri and Brock.
Sindri and Brock are great.
I forgot that Sindri was a germaphobe. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, dwarven germaphobe.
Yeah. He's like, if these walls could he goes, if these walls could talk, they'd have mouths. Big disgusting mouths. Like it totally goes. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot he was a germaphobe.
That's funny.
It's everything about the game. Both games is cinematic too.
Yeah.
The fight with any of the big boss fights. It's not just like, okay, I got to run in and hit. Like the fight with Thor, like you are afraid every time he pulls out his hammer. You're
Yeah.
afraid every time he charges at you. You try and get your hits in. You charge up your axe and then try and freeze him and realize he can't be frozen.
Yeah, and this is really true of the first game too, but they do such a good job mixing this new combat style with, if you ever played a second of the older God of Wars with the chains and like doing the combos and like putting people up in the air and like like it's new, but it has that feel as well.
I can't remember if you guys have probably explained this to me before, but is this like is God of War kind of like a soft retcon, or like a soft reboot, or does everything that's happened in the previous God of War follow through in this one?
It's a continuation of the story.
It's a continuation of the
it's
story.
literally a continuation.
I remember kind of following the story of. I probably have said this to you guys before, but like I remember like God of War, because there's 1, 2, and 3, right? There's 3 God of Wars.
Well, there's 3
There's a
mainline
bunch.
God of Wars, then there's like 2 spin-off games on the PSP.
3 spin-off games.
3 spin-off?
I'm pretty sure. Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, and maybe there's 2. I thought there was a 3rd one.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I remember like the people that like God of War were the same people that liked Gears of War.
Yeah.
They're like the same people that they were like, oh, this game is like full of testosterone, badassery. Yeah. And I was just like,
blood and tits. Yeah.
They did.
I agree.
Okay, buddy.
These the 2 games now have definitely rolled back
toxic masculinity,
the tits and the sex, and yeah, I mean there's still toxic masculinity. He's still Kratos,
but it's for a reason.
Yes,
because he's a dad, again, and you're not seeing him seek revenge. You're in the first one, you're seeing him like come back to this land, and he has a kid, and the mom has died. Not spoiling anything. This is like literally the first minute of the game. And you'd start building this relationship with Atreus. It's very like Last of Us with Joel and Ellie. Like you're on this journey with your, little compatriot, and they have their own feelings, and you're trying to learn how to be a father to them and have a relationship with them. And this one is like an extension of that. In like Atreus is older now, and now he has a very strong opinion, and he knows what he wants to do, and it's Kratos dealing with letting go a little bit and not being this like protector dad guy, but like I now have a man next to me, and he's my guy.
Yeah. So actually that's a great point. Early on in Ragnarok, you go hunting for elk, or I think it's an elk.
Yeah, elk.
Big deer, right?
Yeah.
And when you get back on the sled, you get off, and then Atreus gets off, and Kratos says, "I'll get the deer," and Atreus has already got the deer up, walking over and hanging it up to feed the wolves.
Yeah.
So, and then Kratos has that one of those moments, like, "Huh, he is growing up."
Yep.
But the first game had so many moments where Kratos wants to open up and be more of the loving dad, but can't, because he's got to stay the hardened warrior to protect.
Yep. It's really honestly like the greatest God of War fan fiction ever. It's like, what if we took this guy and made him real and gave him a son, and he has
but that's the beauty of the creator. The creator was behind a lot of that, because he was like, I wrote God of War, I did all those games when I was young, and then I kind of got older, got married, had kids, and then all of a sudden he recreated the game kind of following that path, didn't he? If I remember correctly, am I completely wrong?
I don't know. I don't know
like
if the original. I don't think the original God of War creator works on the new ones, like
David
the person
Jaffe?
who created it. But I know that Cory Barlog, the director of the first one, took a lot of narrative inspiration from his own life.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I remember hearing something like that.
Let's see. No, he didn't create that. Let me see.
Minute and a half of ads.
Oh. Nice.
God damn. Yeah, so it's David Jaffe.
David Jaffe created it, but I don't think is he on Sony Santa
No,
Monica Steam anymore?
No, he stopped at 2.
Yeah. But
I remember watching something where someone, maybe I was talking to Jeff, and the guy was talking about how like he had to recreate himself or something like that, and he came up with, and God of War was like,
I believe
that
that's Cory
recreation.
Barlog.
That's probably Cory Barlog.
Yeah.
It's also playing through the new God of the last one, Ragnarok, now, and just thinking back to the story of the original games, like how much PTSD Kratos has specifically about losing a kid
Mm.
Yep.
and why he hates every single god ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, going back to your question of like, is this a continuation? Like, it is so cool that it is, because that's the center of the catalyst of the story, kind of, is like these gods in this world know that Kratos is there, and they're trying to like find him, and like we heard what you did, you know, in those other games basically, and we're here to figure it out. And then Odin and Thor now show up in this one, and they're like, so you're the God of War or something, you know, like they reference stuff that he did.
Yeah, Odin specifically says, "Oh, retired God of War."
Yeah. Pretty cool.
So I think that's interesting, and because I haven't played the game, I can't add too much to you guys' conversation of what's going on. But like, I have a thought just now, and I wanted to share it. I think it's interesting because I think growing up, the God of War games probably appealed to us as teenagers, as in those sense of how it was. I like how as the games got older, they kind of stuck with that same fan base, in a sense that a lot of the people that grew up with God
Probably
of
have
War
kids now.
probably is going to relate very well to this new God of War, because of us getting older and our taste maturing and becoming different. And I think that's something that in media don't do well. I think, like, let's think like Ninja Turtles. Like Ninja Turtles is a great, like, we grew up watching Ninja Turtles, and then as we got older, Ninja Turtles never evolved with us.
Yeah.
They always kept, this is a kids show, this is kids, Ninja Turtles stay here. Even though the original comics weren't very, they weren't
They weren't
they're
kid friendly
they
at all.
were
They were
they're
teenager at youngest.
exactly. So it's interesting that like we never got like this transition to where like the people that like this stuff then are now this age, so we should probably cater to these people now. And it's stuff they don't do that. Like even though we would like to see stuff like that. Like I would mind seeing like a
Well,
really dark,
it's
gritty Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would like to see a really dark Power Rangers. I know there's fan stories, and I think the comic books do that really good for Power Rangers. But
and Ninja Turtles.
yeah,
There's a story in Ninja Turtles I think you'd like called The Last Ronin.
yeah,
That's a really good call out, actually. I 100% agree with that, and I didn't think about that. It did a good job following the audience.
Yeah,
it does a good job following the audience, and it also realized we're, in terms of what people like in games, like the God of War style of game, that kind of just button mashy light hack and slash action game, light puzzle, has been, it got approved upon in later years with stuff like Devil May Cry, and then honestly Bayonetta has better combat. Ninja Gaiden was really good for a while. So getting into Sony and Santa Monica Studios and building on that, they're like, okay, we need to update this a little bit. And Aaron, you and me talked about this, being that Sony really loves the third person action story narrative game. They're like, why don't we do this with God of War? But okay, there are no more Greek gods. Where do we take Kratos?
Yep.
And if we think of big pantheons, it would probably be Norse, Egyptian, maybe Japanese.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Norse fits better for Kratos because Kratos is let's say he's a Greek Viking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
That makes a lot of sense. There's something else I was going to allude to a few games that didn't do. Oh, wait, like Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3, and I think that's what great call out by what Wes said is that, and then what you were saying, the button mashing, now you've evolved the gameplay because as we got older, we're more sophisticated as well. So you have to evolve that gameplay. What two different examples? You have Shenmue 3 as they made Shenmue 3, and Shenmue 3 did not evolve its game style. And I think that's one big reason why it was was not successful at all, is because we grew up on Shenmue 1 and 2, and the game style that was probably like groundbreaking at that time. But now we've progressed in game styles and how we play games, and so to have practically Shenmue 2 updated graphics in like 2018 or 2019, whenever it came out, it's like this game sucks.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
doesn't
fun.
translate across the time. Yeah.
Exactly. But another game that did update its play style is Pokemon. Like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's is out now, and they've updated that play
Couple
style.
weeks, not out
Couple
yet.
weeks.
Oh, I've seen people playing it already.
Yeah, some people have gotten it early and are playing it on Twitch, but the game is not out yet.
Crazy. Okay, yeah. So they've upgraded that play style, but the problem I have with Pokemon is that that's another one of those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle things. They didn't evolve that. They didn't evolve the play style because the audience is getting older. They've evolved the play style because they can't just keep making two games exactly the same over and over and over and over. So
Yeah.
they kind of have to evolve it. But I don't think that went with they changed that due to maturity.
No, Pokemon
that
will
game
never
is
be a series that gets to adults. Never will.
exactly. But you know what's crazy? The people I get in arguments with are adults.
Yeah.
No, there's this
Yeah.
meme I saw a long time ago, and it was like a little chart of two games and then their fan of who their fans they market to and who their fans are. Call of Duty, they market to the military, the bro people our age. Their main player base, kids. Pokemon, it's marketed to kids. Main player base is this guy.
Yeah. I've thought about it, and I don't think I'm going to buy Violet or Scarlet.
You're not?
I
I
am.
don't think
You're
I
not?
don't think I'm going to play it.
I am.
I just keep looking. To be honest, I've seen the evolutions of the three main starters, and I think the three of them. I think this is the weakest looking starters since like Gen 4. I think the starters look absolutely weak. That I'm like, I'm not gonna play this. The whole game, everything about the game just does not appeal to me at this point.
Yeah. I'm undecided. So, and you are going to play it, Wes.
Oh yeah, even if I don't play it, Donnie's gonna buy it anyway.
Yeah.
Pokemon's like one of
True.
our favorite series of all time.
I don't know if it was just an idiot on TikTok. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Wes, you go.
I was just gonna say, just so I can throw a little bit of James in here, another game that had to adapt with other games doing their mechanic better, Assassin's Creed.
Very true.
After the Arkham series came out, and in my opinion did free flow combat better than the Assassin's Creed games are doing, that's when Assassin's Creed had to shift to the more, I don't want to say Dark Souls style, but that kind of more lock on dodge roll stuff, which they needed to because Rocksteady perfected it with Arkham City.
Yeah.
They really did. But we haven't had a good Arkham game in a while, and we're going to get a new Assassin's Creed that is going to go back to free flow combat and stealth. So they bided their time, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see Assassin's Creed to go back to way more stealth. I actually like that idea a lot. To be more assassiny.
That's what they're going for in Mirage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mirage,
I'm excited.
that was the one.
Good, because I think it needs to be more assassin.
Yeah. But the weird thing is that the next one, the Japan one, is going to be back to normal action, or not normal, but back to the newer action based. It's specifically Mirage that they're like testing out what it would be like to go back to the old style.
Which is weird because you think ninjas in Japan would be.
That's what I was thinking.
Well,
yeah,
that's. I mean, based on the picture, I'm pretty sure we're going to be ninjas, but that's assuming we are ninjas.
No, they said you'll be playing a shinobi.
Okay, so then they could add a mix of stealth mechanics and that more actiony gameplay.
To be
But
fair,
again,
they were very vague, and that's just based on what they said.
It's
And
like a
that's
twinkle in the eye right now. It's not being built or
no,
anything
Mirage
like
is
that.
the next big one.
Yeah, so they're gonna probably see how Mirage does and then kind of make decisions
My
on what to
guess
do
is
with
that.
Jade. That's the only thing I can think.
Well, no,
of.
Jade is the mobile one.
Oh, I thought that was Oh,
No,
that's the
Red.
Chinese one.
Red is the
Red.
Japanese.
Red is the
one.
Japanese. Yeah. I'm actually excited for the
The Witch one.
The Witch one.
Oh.
The Witch one looks good.
Same. I am jazzed about that game.
That one's not till like what 2026.
2026 plus. Yeah, it's like I don't even know why they do that. I hate that they do that, but yeah.
That's we talked about this, didn't we? Didn't we talk about this
shareholders?
like last week?
Maybe, I don't know.
We talked about
some week where I was pissed that they do this. Yes.
Yeah.
But you say you'd be pissed about it, but
I would be. I am.
If Valve came out tomorrow and said, "We're officially working on Half-Life 3. Here's the logo."
No, I'd be fucking pissed. Don't do that.
Would you?
Yes.
Oh, don't show me no fucking logo.
Yeah, that would be so much worse. I would rather not know it's in production than to know it's in production and be like, maybe here it's coming. It's so much worse.
Let me find
So,
something.
like, at what point should they tell us about a game they're working on?
Here's the ideal, and this is oxymoronic because they're normally the worst. But the way Bethesda announced and launched Fallout 4 was perfect. It was like 7 months. They came out and they were like, we're doing this trailer. Come check out this website. And we went to the website and it was playing the little, old countdown thing. They played the trailer. And then at E3, they were like, here's some gameplay. Here's Fallout Shelter. And then 2 months later, it came out. Perfect.
I think
fucking perfect.
Trailers should be more interactive, especially with us us gamers. Trailers should be more interactive like this.
Yeah.
I think if you want to kill a trailer drop and make your game pop, you do interactive trailers and stuff like that. Do you remember? I think it was Battlefield 4. Did you guys play Battlefield 4?
I played Battlefield 4.
Battlefield 4 had a bunch of secret stuff and it had like calling cards and stuff and ribbons that you can unlock.
Yeah.
But it was like this whole hacker-based thing. And you had to go to certain parts of the map and decipher codes. And the code actually sent you through a website. And you had to figure out how to decipher the website. And you had to do all this stuff. And it was this super interactive thing.
ARGs.
And it was absolutely
ARGs,
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I think more gaming companies should do that for their trailers, should do that for
marketing in general.
So
I think it'd be brilliant. I think
I think with trailers, my thing is, I don't think you should show me a trailer unless there is gameplay in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about it.
Cinematic trailers, get out of my face. I don't fucking care.
You can give me a cinematic trailer, but give me 30 seconds after it with some form of gameplay. Like the Dead Island trailer, the really famous one that goes backwards.
Yeah.
Awesome trailer. Love that trailer to this day. I would have loved it more if I had 30 seconds of gameplay after it to show me what I'm actually doing.
Right.
Like I'm tired of the E3 trailers.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Which I still love them. I will still watch them, but I'm more angry now. I'm like, oh, there's no gameplay in this. Cool. So
I know nothing.
Like the Suicide Squad game coming out by Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Oh right. Okay, sorry. I when we're talking about Half-Life, I wanted to talk about this for a sec because I totally forgot.
Yeah, the dumbass on TikTok.
Oh no, this is different. Something different.
Oh,
I'm too far past that because that's Pokemon. It was some guy on TikTok complaining that he didn't understand who's it? Fuecoco is the fire one.
The fire crocodile, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't understand the names and the concept art behind it, and I'm like, you must be a fucking idiot. I'm like, Fuecoco, it's fuego. It's Spanish.
It's a very Spanish thing because
so he's like, I don't know why the second form has a sombrero, and I'm like, you're fucking.
Are you? Yeah, maybe they're being satirical, mate. Possibly.
No, dude.
No, okay.
Maybe I don't know.
They're just stupid.
He didn't have very many views either. I'm like, there's a reason why you probably don't have a lot of people viewing you. So my brother wrote this the other day and we talked about Half-Life, and so it popped in my head. He wrote this interesting thing about Half-Life and Portal. So he goes, there's an interesting, and my brother's really into all this stuff. So He goes, "There's an interesting bit about the crossover between Half-Life and Portal." He says, "Teleporting over into Zen is what allowed the Combine to portal into our universe.
Mhm.
However, once here, they use regular transportation. The whole reason they haven't destroyed humanity is because humans are on the verge of creating localized teleportation, as demonstrated by Dr. Kleiner at the
Mhm.
beginning of Half-Life 2. But Aperture Science already invented local teleportation like 70 years before that. If Cade Johnson had marketed the portal gun instead of keeping it a secret in the lab, the Combine wouldn't have needed to keep humanity alive, and all humans would have been wiped out. And also, he goes, also considered that there's a very serious universe of Half-Life, and the crazy bonkers universe of Portal exists in the same shared world space is crazy in itself.
That's pretty
But
crazy.
I was like, that's an interesting concept that you kind of layered
I love it.
together there.
I want co-op Half-Life where one person is Gordon and one person is
Alex.
Cello. No, the Portal
The Portal
Oh.
girl.
character.
What's her name? Shell? What's her name?
Or Shello.
Shell, yeah.
Shell, yeah.
Yeah.
And puzzle-based, almost all puzzle-based game with gravity gun and portal gun, where you have to do stuff together.
Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy.
That'd be fun. I still like shooting Combine though, so I still want a Half-Life game.
Then give
know.
Gordon the portal gun, damn it.
The problem is it's been so long and we've had so many shooters.
But we haven't had anything that's replaced. The closest thing that's replaced Half-Life for me has been BioShock.
True.
And even
That's
then, I would
another
argue
game.
Infinite wasn't. I love Infinite, but
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, God of War Ragnarok, pretty good.
Our Ragnarok is great. So far, so good. Depending on where the story goes, it will probably be my game of the year. But we gotta see how that happens.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. All right, what is this Smile movie?
Smile is a horror movie that I watched yesterday. And the concept is that okay. What psychologist gets a patient and she's like completely distraught. And she's like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "No one believes me. No one believes me." Okay, what? She goes, "I see this thing, like this person. It looks like people that I know. Sometimes it's my dad, sometimes it's, my friend. But every time it's somebody I know, they're like somewhere in my vision and they're just standing there and they're smiling. And they're smiling like super creepy. And it keeps telling me it like fucks things up in my life. Like it manipulates things and, makes it look like I did it and I get in trouble or look stupid or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, you seem paranoid. You seem schizophrenic. What's going on?" She eventually goes like, "Oh no, it's here," and goes crazy and like backs up and then like gets thrown onto the ground. And the lady's like, "Oh my God." And she picks up the phone and she's like, "We need people, come in here. She's going crazy." Hangs up the phone, looks over, the lady's not there. She looks over even further. The lady's standing up and smiling at her. And then she slits her throat and kills herself. Okay. Then the rest of the movie is this smile thing following
to the psychiatrist.
Yeah, to the psychiatrist. And no one believes her. And she's like, it keeps popping up and like smiling and talking to her and saying like, "You're going to die, blah, blah, blah." It was awful. It was terrible.
Oh,
It was really bad.
Like even going back, because even going back and thinking about it over and over and over again, it doesn't get better the more you think about it.
Oh God, no. It gets worse.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. It's so dumb.
okay. Because I remember seeing trailers for this, and all I saw was people doing Joker smiles, and it was creepy, and that was all the trailer really showed.
So what's the concept? I don't care if you spoil it for me. I don't know if
Yeah,
Wes
I
cares,
know.
but you can spoil it
I
for
don't
me.
care.
Like,
If
what's
Aaron thinks this is a terrible movie, there's a 9 out of 10 chance I'm gonna think it's terrible too. So
yeah. So what's the concept? Where's the smiling? Was it paranormal? Is it paranormal? Is it?
There's never any explanation for where it comes from, but what it is it's an allegory for trauma. So basically, like, she saw her mom die as a kid, And so basically she finds out that everybody who sees the smile person kill themselves gets followed by the smile person. And then they kill themselves in front of someone else and keep passing it along. She discovers this pattern because her ex-boyfriend is a cop. She's dating A-Train from The Boys.
The Boys, gotcha.
Okay.
And he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And she's like, "Oh, nothing. I'm seeing this crazy shit." And he's like, "Well, that's weird. Try to keep it." And like they do so many stupid things where like after she sees her patient kill them, like slice her throat with blood everywhere, it's fucking horrible. She just goes to work the next day. Like they don't give her any time off or anything. She's just like, "Well, coming into work with my coffee." Like, man, that was crazy. and Janae and I were like,
up day at the office.
Yeah, we're like, they didn't give her any time off. That's like fucking super traumatic. Like, no, she's just here. Anyways, they end up forcing her to have a week off because she's seeing shit and like acting really weird. And so they're like, "Hey, maybe we made a mistake having you come back into work. Maybe you should take a week off." So she takes a week off. She's trying to figure out all this stuff. It ends up being this allegory for like carrying trauma with you and spreading it to other people. Basically, like your trauma is following you around. This is the allegory. Your trauma is following you and making you do stupid things, and then you have to end up passing it on to somebody in order to get rid of it. So she does this thing where like she goes back to the house that her mom and her lived in when her mom died, and she saw her die when she was like 10. And so for some reason, like super nice guy A-Train just turns into a huge dick like halfway through the movie for no reason.
Turns into A-Train.
He turns into A-Train and then swoops in her ex cop, you know, who is like, "Oh, I believe you and I'll help you." And so he becomes like this knight in shining armor. He comes to the house and the smile thing tricks her into thinking that she left. She actually didn't. She like goes out the front door and like runs away and is safe, but then she like wakes up and she's still in the house, and the smile thing is around her, and the boyfriend's there, and he comes in and she like sets herself on fire in front of him and spreads it to him, and that's how it ends. And so the other thing, it's a really bad, heavy-handed, forced allegory. Like all this stuff, I'm not even interpreting that it's forced trauma. They literally have this exposition scene where they just explain it to you. Like, "Oh, it must be because I, you know, saw my mom die and I had so much trauma, and now it passed to me, and this woman who I saw kill herself had trauma too," and all this stuff. And it's like so horribly handled, this like super sensitive subject. And in a movie that did this exact same thing really, really, really well is The Babadook. The Babadook is the exact same allegory of a horror movie dealing with trauma, and the horror being the trauma manifesting as this thing, the Babadook. It is a beautiful movie about the same thing. The smile is like the Wish version of it. It's fucking terrible.
But with no like visual representation of like the demon or the trauma, except for smiling.
It's just the person, and it's like, you know how Jack Nicholson smiles in The Shining in that one scene? It's like, "Oh, that's creepy. Let's make a whole movie where that is the creepy." It's like they saw that and then they wrote a movie based on that, and then they just like filled in the gaps. You know what I mean?
What would happen if she was all like smiling and then she went to go like slit her throat and she just went, "Whoa," and then it was over, and then she's like, "Dodge that one. Movie's over."
Yeah. You just close your eyes, like just don't see it. Yeah.
What has this person done?
Not
Look
good.
at the director of it.
So yeah, if you want a smile treatment but good, watch The Babadook. Also, the woman who wrote and directed The Babadook did a short. The last episode of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix is called The Murmuring, and it has Andrew Lincoln in it from Walking Dead. It is so fucking good, really good. It's a short, it's an hour. It's not super scary, but it's kind of the same thing. Like she just has this knack for creating trauma, like horror through trauma, vice versa, and like communicating those two things. And really good. The Murmuring, last episode of that, really good.
Aaron, looking up the director and writer of Smile, a guy named Parker Finn.
Oh yeah,
This is his first full-length movie. He has 2 shorts. He has 3 things on IMDb.
isn't Smile a short?
No, Smile's not considered a short.
Well, yeah, not that, but like it's. I think he made a short, and
So
then this is like the full length version of it.
So he's made 3 things. He made The Hide Behind as a short, and Laura Hasn't Slept as a short.
Weird.
And now Smile.
Yeah, not good. And you know what? Rotten Tomatoes, 76% critic, 76% audience. I don't fucking
trust I don't
baffled.
Dude, I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes at all anymore.
IMDb has it as a 6.8.
It's like trash. It's literal trash. Weird. And you know what too? I heard Moist Critical say that he liked the ending. He thought the ending was really smart. And I was like, going into it with that, maybe that's why, but like I don't know. I tried to keep an open mind. But he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. That ending was awful.
So you were right, Aaron.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say you were right, Aaron. Smile is based on his 2020 short, Laura Hasn't Slept.
Oh yeah.
Because that's weird. Because I remember I don't know. Not to bring it up again, but like I watched Barbarian with you a few nights ago.
Yeah, let's talk about Barbarian.
And I was like, I remember halfway through that movie being like, this movie's so fucking stupid.
Oh, really?
I was like halfway through the movie, I was like, this movie's so fucking stupid. And then it ended, and I was like, that movie was so stupid. And I was like, and then like I kept thinking about it. Then you were like, it's like an allegory, and I'm like, yeah, I was picking up on the allegory, but I couldn't get over like the things that people were doing in the movie were like super rational. I was like, but like that makes sense, like because I guess. And Devin was even like, well, horror movies, all characters are irrational. I'm like, dude, I don't get it. Like, that drives me crazy. When characters are acting irrational, I'm like, why would you do that? Why would that? No wonder you're going to die. Obviously, you lack fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just doing stupid things to be stupid.
Okay,
and then
that is a trope in like 90% of horror movies, though.
Exactly. That's probably why I don't like horror movies. It's like, you're in a situation where life or death, you're gonna have to do things to survive, and people are doing things opposite of surviving. Drives me insane. That's probably why I have a hard time playing horror games. Like, I'm sitting there, there's a screen I'm looking through a crack in the wall, and there's a screen that's fuzzing in there. My brain goes, if you go in there, bad things are gonna happen, so you might as well just leave.
Mm-hmm.
But the video game, I'm forced to go against my fight or flight, and I have to go in there.
Okay, follow me here. Horror movies are adrenaline rushes, right? They're ways for people to, it's like rock climbing or going on a roller coaster, right? Your brain is never going to say to go up, ride this car up 100 feet and then free fall it, but you do it because it makes you feel crazy and like, oh my, so
that makes sense.
That's how horror movies are. You get these people that are like, I would never do that, but they're going to do it, and I'm going to watch what fucking happens. Oh my God. But so, yeah, I agree.
And I said it the night we watched it. I said, I'm on the fence of liking it and not liking it, because I don't like it because I don't like the horror aspect of it, but the allegory or like the symbolism, like I have to look at, I even said this, I have to look at the symbolism. So then I went and talked to Devin, and I told Devin the whole movie. She's like, tell me. She goes, I'm never
Nice.
gonna watch it. I was like, all right, let me tell you the whole movie. And I'm going through every bit. And I start off like, this movie's stupid. She does this stupid thing. It's really she's like, I gotta go in there and save the guy. I'm like, no, get the fuck out of there. Obviously the bitch can kill you with one finger. Why would you go back in there? And I was like, so then I was all like, the movie's stupid. And then I started going through it and I'm like, well, the allegory is this. And I'm explaining to Devin this, and because if you do this, then this, and that explains like this in reality. And then I started going down this rabbit hole and I was like, oh, and I could see that it's like affecting Devin. Like Devin's like, this is hitting me hard. Like Devin, it was hitting Devin hard, me just explaining the allegories behind everything. And Devin was just like, yeah, that's real. Oh yeah, I felt that way. Oh yeah, I know that. And then when I even tell her the ending, she's like, that's so sad.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is.
Yeah. That's
And I
great.
was like, and I was sitting there going, this movie's fucking brilliant, dude.
Mhm.
I was like, I had to play through the whole movie in my head, and that's why I texted you. I was like,
Yeah, that's great.
dude, this movie's good. This is such a good fucking movie. So I
That's
was really
nice.
impressed
That's
with it
awesome.
by the end of it.
Much
But I had
better.
to kind of work. I had to work through it. I had to work through a lot of stuff in my head.
Horror movies, and I'll say it. I'll be the first to admit that I'm so accustomed to them that I am blind to things that that seem dumb to most people. You know what I mean? So, you know, I didn't have any of those thoughts, but I can now. When you explain them, I'm like, oh, that is really stupid, right? That is really dumb. But I'm just so accustomed to it.
With
I'll explain the part that made me like almost lose my mind. Is she goes down this hallway, this dark hallway, to go find Keith,
Yeah.
right? It's a one-way hallway. One way.
Yeah.
She finds Keith and she goes, we have to go this way. And he goes, no, I'm not going that way. I'm like, what?
Well, he
What do you mean
goes,
you're not going?
he goes, that's where she came from. That's where she came from. We can't go that way.
And I was like, I just came from that way. You just came from that way.
Mhm.
You got bit that way. I was like, in my mind, I was like, none of this is making sense. It's a one-way hallway.
Well, here's what happened. He got bit and then ran this way. And then the lady, the thing went somewhere else, you know, like probably went that way.
And it's all dark down there. He
Yeah.
probably got discombobulated. It makes sense.
Oh, that's
And
true too.
And
Yeah.
he's panicking. He's panicking.
Should we tell Wes
that
what's
all
going
makes-
on? Do you want to spoil
I
it,
don't know.
Wes?
I don't want to spoil. I think Wes
No,
should
go
actually
ahead.
watch it.
Go
I
ahead.
think
think
you
Wes
should
should
watch
watch
it. I think you would like it.
I agree. I think
Alright.
Wes should watch it.
Do you not like it? I'll just explain it to you.
No, go ahead. No. I'll watch it. I will watch it soonish.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I really liked
It's pretty good.
You know what's cool
pretty
is
good.
it's you like Whitest Kids, you know, right?
Yeah.
It's written and directed by Zach Kreger.
I only know one of the Wise Kids you know by name, and it's the one
Not-
who passed away.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, okay. You'll
But it
recognize
was-
him when you see him.
It was good. I like it. Yeah, there's just a few things like that was like,
Yeah.
and the fact that she kept wanting to go back inside, like to save people, that I was like, don't go back inside.
Yeah. That is really stupid. But at the same time, like when the cops won't help you, it's really frustrating. I feel like for how stupid that is, it was handled as realistically as possible in some ways.
Yeah. She's a saint. We'll
Yeah.
just go with that.
Yeah,
She's an absolute
exactly.
saint.
Yeah.
So, a couple things. One, that is the one like suspension of disbelief you have to have with every horror movie ever made.
Mhm.
People are going to make dumb decisions that make
Mhm.
zero sense. Why do everyone always choose to separate when there's a serial killer around?
Yeah.
Or a slasher. But me and Donnie did watch the trailer for Berserker. Is it Berserker
Barbarian.
or Berserker?
Barbarian. Yeah.
Got it wrong either way. You want to talk about just in the trailer thing that's dumb to me? She gets to the Airbnb, so we know it takes place in modern times.
Yeah.
Someone else is in there. I'm sorry. I'm getting on my phone, getting an Uber or a cab, and leaving.
Oh, she tries that, but there's nowhere to stay because there's a convention in town.
Mhm.
Cool. Go live at the bus station for a night. I'd rather take that than share
It's
an Airbnb
Detroit,
with a random.
man. It's Detroit. They did a
Oh.
bunch of stuff like that, which made a lot of which I'm like,
I
guess
think
she
they
could have
handled
drove
that
into
well.
like a. She could have gone to like a parking lot and like slept in her car at a parking lot.
So
but
much more
she's-
dangerous.
But I'm like, it's Detroit. You never
Wait.
fucking know.
So much
Okay,
more dangerous.
taking out where it is, Aaron, you're telling me you'd be more okay staying in a house with someone you have never met before
Yes.
versus
Well, only because of the interactions that they have. Like he seems like honestly confused. Like he's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing here? She booked it on Airbnb. He booked it on HomeAway. They double booked it. It happens all the fucking time. It doesn't mean that he's a serial killer. Like this is a common situation.
As the watcher, you're going, this is bad because it's played by Bill Skarsgård. So you're like, this is bad. He's a motherfucker.
He's the motherfucker. Yeah.
Then fine. Second thing in the same trailer. Okay, if that situation was me and I chose to stay there, I pick a bedroom and just lock myself in it for the night.
She did.
Which she does.
Doesn't even in the trailer she sits and talks with him for a while.
Well, she needs sheets.
He builds rapport. There's a whole rapport there that actually I feel is actually really good. I actually like that scene where they build rapport with each other. And what he does, he fumbles through his words. He's trying to be
He's trying to act as non-creepy as possible and comes off creepy, which happens to guys all the fucking time.
100%. That is true.
I'll spoil this. He makes her tea, but she didn't drink it. And so he comes out and he's got a bottle of wine that's left for the people who's staying at the house. And he's like, there's a bottle of wine. It's here. And I wanted to offer you some, but I noticed you didn't drink the tea, probably because you didn't see me make it. But I didn't want to open the bottle. I wanted you to see me open the bottle so you know something's not wrong, or I want to make sure you're comfortable. And so like he's stumbling through this explanation of like, you didn't drink this tea and I have this bottle, we should drink it, but if you don't want to drink it, it's understandable because
with no context of watching the movie, just seeing the trailer scenes, again, those are my initial reactions.
Those are fair. Totally fair.
I would lock myself in the room. Like, I get an Airbnb in Seattle, someone else double books it. I don't know this person, and I'm in downtown Seattle. Cool. Yes, thank you for letting me stay here. I'm going to go hold up in that room for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got my charging cable for my phone. I have unlimited data.
You should watch it.
Okay. I will give it a chance.
It's Zach from Whitest Kids You Know. It's pretty cool. He's doing
Now
it.
You fucked up.
Now you fucked up.
Now you fucked up.
Yeah, that guy actually wrote and directed a pretty darn good movie. Like, not a 10 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10 for sure, but like...
Okay.
Pretty dang
good. A 4 out of 5 or
4
like
out of 5?
I'll give it a 4 out of 5 or an 8 out of 10. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, damn.
Okay.
Good job.
The other things that I wanted to talk about are the rest of the... I talked about The Murmuring on Netflix, the Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. There are 2 other ones that I would recommend. There's 8 episodes. 5 of them are garbage. 3 of them are actually really good, and they're all under an hour, and I think very much worth your time. One is The Murmuring, which is the last episode. The second one is The Viewing, which has Eric Andre in it. Very cool, very weird, super awesome. I would definitely highly recommend it. Written and directed by the person who wrote and directed Mandy. If you remember Mandy, which is like anyways, very good. The Viewing.
Nicolas Cage film.
Nicolas Cage film, yeah. And then the last one is The Autopsy. The Autopsy is fucking awesome. It is sci-fi horror. Some of the coolest shit I've seen this year.
I would like to see more sci-fi horror. To be 100% honest, space horror. I would love to see more type of. I would actually probably be more interested in like some sci-fi space horror.
Bro, Netflix.
I would like to see that.
Netflix episode 3 or 4 of that show, The Autopsy, an hour long. Check it out. I think you would like it. It's sci-fi horror peak.
Well, Nubs, you're in luck because within the next like year or two, there's like 6 or 7 big space horror games coming out.
Yeah, true. Very true. Okay. Very, very little news, yeah?
Yeah, I got 3 news stories I'm gonna talk about, and then 1 I'm still researching because there's a lot of stuff to read through.
And I just have a little Star Wars bit I want to go on.
Okay.
That's
Alright.
about it.
Yeah, let's
So,
do it.
let's start with some sad news for fans of a show. Westworld has been canceled after 4 seasons.
That's
Yep. And
very
like
shitty news.
they were supposed to be 5 seasons, and I guess they're even paying the actors for what they would have done on season 5. Like they
Really?
just said we're done.
The
It's
main
over.
specifically the main actors.
The main
Yeah,
actors, yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Like Evan Rachel Wood and shit.
yeah.
That's
Evan Rachel Wood
crazy. If you guys
and
knew the cliffhanger that this season ended on, the fact that they're not finishing it is like Firefly type shit.
I watched
ooh,
someone talk about why they they were saying how, because it's interesting because you talk about how good the story is, and I wonder if it's because Aaron, you're very smart when it comes to story writing and story, like picking up on and picking up on stuff like that. But I think most natural viewers aren't that well equipped. And from what the guy was explaining, he says it got so convoluted at one point that people were losing interest in watching because I guess it took a big dip in season 3 and 4,
Yeah.
and they were like, the story got so twisty turny and convoluted that like it just most viewers were like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Fair enough.
And so like I think you could pick up on it easy, and you could like decipher what's kind of going on, make the connection pieces. And I think that's why. Well, I don't have no idea. I should watch it. I should just fucking watch it so I know what I'm
Yeah, I
talking
think
about.
it's really good. I think that season 2 is convoluted because of like time they show different time periods without explaining it to you, and then it's at the end that you're supposed to be like, "Oh, that was this and this."
They
so
did that with Witcher.
they pull a Witcher season 1.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, no, I've like I said, we're watching season 1. It's just we put on another show, like we'll put on Game of Thrones instead, right?
Yeah.
Because we're still trying to watch through that. But like I've said multiple times, and I'll say again, it's not a show you can play on, like, go to look at your phone at a slow point. Like, you need
You
to
have to pay
watch
attention.
Yeah.
the whole episode to see, because there might be a line or a scene you miss, or one of the robots moves a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I got to think about this. Anytime Anthony Hopkins is on screen, you have to pay like attention to every word he says.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's
Um,
a heartbreaker. It was one of my favorite shows, like, of all time. So like this
yeah, it,
sucks.
it it had moved
That
up
show's
your
so
list,
good.
like, based on just over the years of knowing you. I'm pretty sure them, like, Lost, which was your favorite show, has gone down a couple pegs
Oh,
due
for
to like
sure.
Game of Thrones and Westworld.
For
Did
sure.
it get any type of awards, Westworld?
I don't
Not
know.
that that matters, but just a
I
question.
don't think so. I don't know.
Let me see.
Okay.
Do, 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 do.
Speaking real quick of, I know we touched on The Witcher. Supposedly more news has come out that Henry Cavill. It was more of a joint decision that Henry Cavill would leave the show. There was speculation of why it was because he was having disagreements with the writers, but I guess that speculation it's been produced more accurately true, that they're like he's been having a hard time because the writers supposedly haven't read any of the Witchers,
Mm,
It's not even
and
that, they hate the source material.
they hate the source material. And so Henry Cavill is a big avid fan of it, and they're going away from it, and he's been kind of having differences and opinions. And so I think Henry Cavill finally decided, he's like, this just isn't for me. Um, and also he's come out and said, no one has talked to me about Game of Thrones or Hot D. I'm not in the conversation with any of them. And even if I was in the conversation with any of them, I love George R. Martin's world. I just don't think there's a place for me there.
hmm.
So I was looking up some, see if there was any news on the Henry Cavill thing. There is a change.org petition that is Netflix. You must keep Henry Cavill as the Witcher and replace the writers instead. It has 201,000 signatures.
Damn.
Wow, that's a lot of
I wonder
signatures already.
how many would it take for them to realistically care about that?
You know what would what you'd have to do? These 201,000 people who signed this petition cancel their Netflix account.
And would Henry Cavill then be like, if Netflix came back and said, "Hey, we want you back. we're getting rid of the writers. Do you think Henry Cavill would come back, or do you think he'd be like, nah, ship's gonna
No,
sail?
I think if they did a season
No,
without him, I don't think he would.
I think if they could do this, if this happened and Netflix says, "Hey, we have enough people that support you over our writers, we're going to replace the writers," I think the only way Cavill would come back is if he got to pick the writers.
if he got to be like an executive producer on the show.
Yeah.
Oh no, not even producer. He gets to pick the writers. He gets
Yeah.
to go out and find writers who love this source material. It's like, hey, you've seen. Here's the first 2 seasons. We can't change any of that.
Yeah.
Here's the source material. Make it work.
That's that's interesting. What was I gonna
Uh,
say? Oh, and then the reason why they picked Liam
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth was chosen because actually he was the runner-up who they wanted initially. Henry Cavill won the role. Liam Hemsworth was the runner-up.
So he was
So
first loser.
he was so what they were saying is that Henry Cavill's not going to go. We're going to ask Liam Hemsworth, and I guess Liam Hemsworth was like, "Yeah, I've never done a movie in the past 5 years that's been of any relevance. Yeah, I'll be in that. I'll be in The Witcher."
He's like, dude, my fucking ugly brother just got fired from Westworld, so I gotta pick up the family load now.
And everyone knows Thor, so fuck me.
Yep. Sad, sad, sad.
All right. This is really interesting news. Animal Crossing New Horizons has become Japan's best-selling game of all time.
Japan?
Yeah, country of Japan. This game has been bought more than any other game there. So it has sold 10.445 million units in
That's
Japan.
the most recent. That's the most recent one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The game it beat was Pokemon Red, Blue, Green at 10.23 million sales, and then Pokemon Silver at 7.17.
Wow.
Japan fucking loves their Animal Crossing.
Very true.
That's good. That's cool.
And I literally would, if there's a video game Hall of Fame, Animal Crossing New Horizons needs to go in there for keeping people sane during the worst time.
It's a weird thing. I agree. Because I actually don't think that that's a very good game, but it came in a magical time.
It did. It just
captured the hearts of everyone.
Yeah. You couldn't get a Switch. No one
Servo has to put something out there to, because I was interested in the math. If 200,000 subscribers, if 200,000 subscribers canceled right now. Also, hello Gendred, hello Servo.
That's $20. That's
Hey,
$20 a person. $20 a person.
Well, it depends on the level of service you're paying for.
That's 0.0009% of their current subscribers. So they probably wouldn't care about that either.
Well, how much is it? Do you know for like the no ad? I guess now it's the third tier. It's like $12.99, right?
I think that's the one we have. It's the third tier.
All right.
I think it's $20. I think the third tier is $20.
No, the fourth tier is $20 because that's the one that adds 4K.
Maybe
they currently have 220 million subscribers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But from a shareholder standpoint, that is $2.59 million a month they would be losing out on if everyone had the mid-tier subscription.
That's not very much for them.
No.
It is, but that would also see the big thing is would see a dip in their stock prices, which then the shareholders and the executives look at more.
I mean, they fluctuate 0.0009% like every month.
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, monthly basis. Interesting.
200 something share. I mean, you're probably right, but
Netflix going to ads fucking pisses me off, dude. I hate that ads are becoming fucking everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
It drives me absolutely insane.
It's what happened to cable TV. Cable TV's whole big thing back in the day was, hey, you have to pay for us, so we won't have ads. And then it's, oh, hey, we're going to have ads.
Do you think the ads is all just for money? Well, it's got to be. It's got to be for more money. It's just
that's all it is.
Yeah,
I want to squeeze as much money as possible out of this. So yeah, I'll do ads.
Yes.
100%. If
there's
money
no
didn't,
there's no other motive.
even during, I mean, yeah, the TV companies have no reason for ads except for money.
I mean, to be
They need
fair,
the
HBO doesn't have ads. They advertise their own shit, which is like whatever.
But
Like
here's the thing. You can't get HBO without paying Comcast for a subscription and then paying another subscription on top of that.
you can. They have HBO Max.
Now-
HBO Max, yeah.
now.
Well, they used
Which
to
is
have
good.
HBO Go, which was a standalone subscription as well.
I thought Go you had to have an HBO subscription to your Comcast.
There was two. There was HBO Now and
That's it.
HBO
Okay, that's-
Go, and then they switched it to HBO Max.
And that's convoluted in itself. Like
It
for
used
me,
to
that's
be.
absolutely convoluted.
But yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, ads suck. Just, I genuinely wish we didn't need ads on everything.
Do you know? Do you remember the bad guy? I'm interrupting Wes. I'm sorry. I don't.
No,
I'll
you're
shut
good.
up. I'll shut up.
I was just rambling about my hatred of ads.
Batman.
Batman.
Jim Carrey played
the Riddler.
the Riddler in Batman. Do you remember what Batman was gonna crush him for? Why Batman was gonna crush him? Why Batman was like, "You're the bad guy."
For being able to read people's brains with his box.
And then sell them products according to what they were thinking about.
That and reading everyone's mind and becoming the smartest man in town.
Still, but
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
fucking data mining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He literally was going. Batman was swinging into action to go kick some fucking Riddler ass for data mining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now here we are in 2022, just going, oh yeah, this. I talked about. Me and Aaron talked about bidets yesterday, and guess what's popping up on my goddamn ads for Twitch?
Mm-hmm.
Bidets.
Yeah.
And
Scary
then,
world we live in.
Scary world. Last news story I'm going to talk about today is the Prince of Persia remake that's happening isn't canceled, but Ubisoft is refunding people's pre-orders. Because they since the game currently does not have a release date, existing pre-orders have been canceled and refunded where applicable.
Didn't they reboot
I don't
Prince
know
of
if this
Persia
Sands of
once
Time-
already?
What?
Oh, it was a remake of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
Yes.
Got it.
Because it keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, but they're not canceling it.
Hmm.
But we're going to
It's
cancel
ki-
your pre-orders.
It's kind of like
like
a
to point
StarCraft
out-
Ghost.
Huh?
It's kind of like a StarCraft Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go with... I like to point out, though, Duke Nukem Forever, people had their original pre-orders from 12 years before the game came out, and they were still honored.
True.
Pretty cool.
So I actually think this game might get canceled, or it's going to be some weird free-to-play thing. Or they're going to introduce the Ubisoft streaming or the Ubisoft game platform, game
You can
launcher
only
for
get it
your
on.
computer.
Oh yeah.
You can only get it on Ubisoft Play
Ubi
Launcher.
now.
Yeah, Uplay or whatever the fuck they call it.
Yeah.
Watch.
All right. And then the last story I'm doing more research on because there's a lot of stuff to read through is the
Baba Booey.
huge fight between the
Baba Booey.
Zakari.
Zakari. The Doom Eternal composer and the
Dude, James sent that last night, and I was like, it took me 30 minutes to read the original Reddit post, and then Mick's thing that he sent, it takes an hour to read.
Yeah. Now I have IGN's more or less TLDR right here for it.
Oh.
And there's a lot. It basically boils down to there's a lot of crunch allegations, a huge amount of pay issues, and just you couldn't get communication from management. And then the other thing was, and this was a quote in there that I think is good because from Mick, I never quit Doom. I quit a toxic client. But it's all around the original soundtrack.
Yeah.
And how people were noticing that the soundtrack mixing wasn't the same as the in-game mixing. And it blew up into this whole thing about pay and toxic work environment and a huge Reddit post and then a multi-page uh, college essay level of writing on what this happened was. And I was informed about this, like Aaron said, last night. So I haven't had enough time to make bullet
So
points on
tune
it.
in next week for full bullet points from Wes.
Yep.
Yes.
You got some Star Wars news there, nubbies?
Yeah. Nothing too crazy. I don't like this guy, and I don't mind him at the same time. But there's a guy named Star Wars Theory. I don't like him. He rubs me wrong in weird ways.
YouTuber?
So what was that? He's a YouTuber. He's got 3 million He's got 3 million subscribers. Yeah, I've watched videos where he calls Star Destroyers Death Stars, and it just blows my mind that I'm like, and he doesn't even fix it in pre-post where it's like a little note there. He's like, I called this the wrong thing on accident. I meant this. Like, he doesn't fix anything. He just lets it fly. He's weird.
Odd.
He's kind of like on the brink of like toxic fan, but not really. He like considering he's on YouTube and he's a big platform, he has to play off like he's not. But I have a feeling he's very of that way.
Okay.
There's this big post. I can't find the links. I was meant to pull the links, but I literally watched this today, where he's talking about kind of what's going on in Lucasfilms right now. And Lucasfilms, I guess they have a new mantra, and their new mantra is make good movies. Like, that's their new mantra. Like, focus on making good plots and good things. And I guess Kathleen Kennedy has said, like, we tried to do a bunch of stuff with episode 7, 8, 9 that we found out were like, she's actually actively said big mistakes that were just not good. And then I guess Bob Iger wrote a autobiography, and in his autobiography, he explained we needed to get a movie out at the end of the quarter of 2015. And considering Disney just bought Star Wars, we wanted a return on our investment as soon as possible. And so we made the decision to make Star Wars The Force Awakens as fast as possible. And I guess Kathleen Kennedy said there's a reason everyone has said for years that a lot of her movies are just direct copies of like previous movies. And that's true because there's so many deadlines that we couldn't come up with a lot of creative, like, unique ideas. So we just stuck with fan servicing and not going too far outside the box. Like, she's actively saying, like, we tried not to go outside the box, and it backfired on a few places, which caused us to rethink and rework. And we had so many deadlines to get these movies out as fast as possible that we pressured ourselves into making a bad trilogy. Like, she's actually I come out and said, like, we made a lot of mistakes in episode 7, 8, 9, which is interesting because we've been kind of saying, a lot of people have been saying it for years. A lot of people have been defending it for years. So it's good to see that. The other thing I was kind of, if you guys have not watched Andor yet, I'd highly recommend you guys watch Andor. I don't want to talk it up too much because I don't want you guys to do what happens to me where I get like really hyped for a series and I watch it and I'm like, that wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have said, and I'll lay it out to this. A lot of people have said that Star Wars, they said Andor is a good TV show. It's not a good Star Wars. It's not good Star Wars. It's just a good TV show. And kind of what they're explaining is if you were to say this had nothing to do with Star Wars, it would still be entertaining.
Right.
And they're saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, I disagree. Just because the name Star Wars is slapped onto something doesn't necessarily make it a good Star Wars. I think they've been slapping the Star Wars name onto lots of things, and it's not been good. I think it's important you make a good story first, and that's what we're getting, I think, with Andor. I think we're getting a really good story. And the best way I can explain it in a nutshell for you guys is that we've always seen, like, you know, A New Hope. We've seen we're the spark that lights the resistance. You know, we're going to win, and we're the resistance, and we're rebellion, and yes, and everything's love and hope. You get the big thing from Rose.
Yeah.
Andor does a really good job of explaining the dark, gritty side of a rebellion.
Nice.
Like, it's like there's not a lot of hope. There's not a lot of like truth and love. It's like, this is what has to be fucking done.
Mhm.
And it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to see. And so if you guys have a chance to watch it, Stellan Skarsgård is a phenomenal actor in that TV series. So you guys should check it out. But that's all I was gonna say. I was interested that I was interested that I heard that Kathleen Kennedy has actually kind of said that episodes 7, 8, 9 were
So
a lot of mistakes.
Since you've said it was really good and you are a resident Star Wars guy, I will give it a try.
Yeah, I've seen the first 4 episodes and it is phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take both your opinions on that and I will watch it. Something you brought up and says about the whole this would be a good show if it wasn't named Star Wars.
Mhm.
And I think you brought this up in our text too, is everyone associates Star Wars, and I'm going to go further than not just the Jedi and Force. They associate Star Wars with the 9 movies. And now Mando a little bit, and maybe Boba Fett if you're a fan of that. And then some people care about the extended lore, but in general, your basic fan is going to care about the 9 movies and the Disney Plus shows, right?
Correct. Yeah, probably.
When Star Wars is just a name before this massive universe of everything. Like, you could do whole stories of the bureaucracy of Coruscant.
Yeah. I'm racking my brain right now thinking about Andor. There's been mentions of Sidious, like they've mentioned because the Emperor Palpatine. They've talked about Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's been a mention of a Jedi, Darth Vader, Sith, Force. There's not been a single mention, I think, of any of those words.
Mhm.
It's like it is completely detached, and I think that's I think that's done it in particularly due to the fact that you're dealing with the common folk, and when you deal with the common folk, they're not going to care about it because by all intents and purposes, the Jedi were wiped out and it's a failed religion. It's like a religion to them. Even we see it in episode 4 when Darth Vader's talking about the Death Star and how it's like, he's like, he calls it a technological monstrosity, and he says it has no power, of course, in the Force. And then you have an officer that starts literally shit talking him. Your Force hasn't brought any clairvoyance to being attacked. He hasn't brought up the Death Star plans. Like, don't try to scare me with your stupid space sorcery. And so,
And
like,
then scares him with his stupid space sorcery.
and proceeds to say, "You shut your fucking mouth when you talk to me." And so, like, it's good.
But I know that there's a huge, a good chunk of Star Wars fans who wanted Star Wars without Jedi and stuff because for a while, the most anticipated Star Wars game since Knights of the Old Republic was going to be Star Wars 1313, where you played a bounty hunter on Coruscant on floor 1313, which they said in the interviews there would be no Jedi, no Force, it was just going to be you dealing with the Coruscant stuff, and people were hyped and excited, and then the game gets canceled.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think how to put this. I think this is the best way I've kind of explained it to somebody. I think there's a problem. Don't get me wrong, the fantastical side of Star Wars is probably what pulls in a lot of fans. The Force, Jedis, lightsabers, Sith, lightning bolts, all that probably pulls in a lot of people because it brings a lot of the fantasy side. That's the high fantasy kind of side. And I think that what pulls that has a lot of pull. And I think it's also because it's high fantasy, it also gets a lot of the kids too. And I think Disney has definitely decided to focus on those kids and focus on fan service and focus on that high fantasy side more than, like, I guess, the realistic side. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. Sorry, one sec. Aaron stream's a little weird looking at the moment with the
Oh.
boxes.
Oh, I think it's because you pulled up the yeah.
But it does get me thinking. Randomly, I don't know how it would never work as long as Disney owned Star Wars, but Star Wars, but with a story or something, Game of Thrones style writing.
Andor is probably the closest you're gonna get to it. Andor's
Yeah,
pretty not pretty dark, but there are scenes in Andor that I'm like, this is heavy. Like
okay.
this is heavier than I think most. I think this is the heaviest. Yeah, there's scenes in Andor that I'm like,
And you were saying that
this,
it's underperforming to Disney numbers.
it is, and I think, but word of mouth I think is getting out because I started looking at some reviews, I started looking at things, and it's starting to pick up. And I think it's underperforming because it doesn't have the Jedis, it doesn't have the Force, it doesn't have a lot of that stuff. And I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of Star Wars fans right now are. I didn't watch Andor episode like 1, 2, or 3 because I was still mad at Star Wars. I was like, dude, fuck Star Wars after what they did to Boba Fett. Like, fuck Disney. I was so, you knew how pissed off I was. I was like, why would I want to watch fucking Andor? Andor looks so like, oh yeah, I want to watch a background story to fucking a loser that, not a loser, but a guy that dies in Rogue One. Like, I already know his ending. Like, why would I want to watch that? Like, who's asking for Andor series? And then I watch 1, 2, and 3. And then next thing you know, I'm on episode 10, and I'm just like, every episode, I'm like, and this is the consensus I've heard from people. This is by far the best, maybe not the best story. I don't know if I claim to see the best story. I think it's some of the best Star Wars content, but this is the best acted Star Wars. The actors in this show are above par, above than any other acting I've seen in any other Star Wars.
Yeah.
They're really focusing in. And someone was getting all mad because they're like, the Troy Gilroy, the guy that is writing Star Wars, writing this Andor, he's actively said, I'm not a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Like he goes, I went and looked at Wikipedia for a lot of the content and stuff like that, and that pissed off a lot of Star Wars fans. They're like, he's not even a fan of Star Wars. It needs to be going to people that are a fan of Star Wars. I'm like, I disagree. I think that's where the problem lies. Like, George Lucas, episode 4, 5, and 6 was a nobody. And he had so many people. He had a bunch of like directors and writers that were telling him like, hey, that's a stupid idea. Han Solo cannot be a lizard man. Like, that's stupid. You can't have Han Solo be a lizard man. You can't do that. So that he had a lot of people that were leading and guiding him. By the time he reached episode 1, 2, and 3, they were all Star Wars fans. All the writers were Star Wars fans. He had yes men all in his quarter. He had all these people telling him, "Yep, that's a great idea. Yep, yeah, you should do that. Yep, Star Wars all the way through." And we got to see that with Jon Favreau and Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau wrote Mandalorian season 1, Mandalorian season 2. Amazing. Jon Favreau wrote, well, he directed, he did like a lot of co-writing and stuff like that for episodes for Mandalorian 1 or 2. And then he wrote Book of Boba Fett. And Book of Boba Fett is absolutely the biggest garbage heap that's come out in Disney Plus yet. And I think that has to do with him being a fan of the show, trying to make it light whimsical. He's trying to do the whole Star Wars thing. And you're not getting interesting ideas at that point. You're just kind of doing the same Pokemon. Let's just do red and blue. Let's just redo Star Wars. And you're not getting any interesting concepts. And I think that's why I think I like Andor, is you're getting a lot of interesting concepts that have never been talked about in Star Wars. You're getting a lot of new stuff. It's a lot because you're getting someone that's not a Star Wars fan. You're getting someone that's writing a good story first and incorporating it in the Star Wars world, and not making a Star Wars trying to incorporate a good story.
Agreed. Well, gentlemen, it's been a lovely evening.
It has.
The midterms have upon us. God of War Ragnarok has saved us from that stress and given us some levity. Andor is fantastic. Smile is not. We're gonna raid Wanderlust whether you like it or not.
Wonder, my boy.
I rhymed not with not. God damn.
That's all right. A lot of rappers do it. Happens.
Oh, it's true. It's very true. Thank you everyone for joining. Hopefully James is better next week. If you follow us on Twitter or if you're in our Discord, which you should be, send him a little message. Let him know that you're thinking about him and that you hope he feels better.
Yeah. Watch party tomorrow, right?
Watch party tomorrow. Make sure you got your Amazon Prime subscription. If you don't have one, get one from a friend or your parents or something. And yep. All right, we're gonna go see Wanderlust. Good night, Starry. Good night, Zakari. Everyone that stopped by, Gendrid. Servo. Love y'all. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Night,
Bye.
everyone.
I actually had a lot of fun tonight. I think that was good.
Me too.